in family and child development from Auburn University. She moved to Seattle in 1992, 5 years after her family came here on a summer vacation. She's quoted as saying, "It was August, 70 degrees the entire 2 weeks, and I announced that I was going to live here one day." She would meet the love of her life, a Catholic Yankee proclaimed by her dad. The very next year, get married and move across the country to raise a family in the Pacific Northwest. She has taught child development and health at Explorer Middle School, Seattle Pacific University, and Arlington High School. Kimberly has served on Arlington's ACE Committee for 15 years, co-chair of the Citizens Committee for Arlington Public Schools for the past 4 elections, and has volunteered countless hours at Kent Prairie Post Middle School and Arlington High School, as well as Providence Pediatric Hospice. She is proud of the ability to stay at home, raise 4 children while being a supporting cast member for John and his profession at Edward Jones. In 2005, she co-founded the Arlington Kids Kloset with the support of Linda Burns, the superintendent of Arlington Public Schools at the time, and a member of the community and Rotary. So welcome, Kimberly.
Okay, well, biggest problem starting off is that Paul said I had to like stand right here and I couldn't move. If you guys know me, I'm a wanderer. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna try to like let this be my little spot. Everybody hear me okay? Oh gosh, I gotta hold this too. Okay. So yes, I'm Kimberly and I'm so happy to be back here. It has probably been, it's since you guys were at the church that I've spoke about Kids Kloset. So several years since I've been back to give you an update. And so I'm really happy to be here today. Thank you guys for asking me. Arlington Kids Kloset is in our 16th year. For those of you, Dr. Ron, Dave, for those of you who have been around for a long time, you know when we got started, you probably helped remodel our space. And we are starting our 16th year of serving kids in Arlington, Lakewood, and Darrington school districts. We are a grassroots organization that started with just the belief that we could fill a need in our community by clothing kids in need in our schools who may not have the resources to dress appropriately for school. And so basic idea. And then we were given wings to fly by community members, by service organizations such as Rotary, and then as well as staff, nurses, counselors at all of the schools who refer kids to us. So today I'm just going to tell you a little bit about what we do, a little story. I'm kind of broke it down into a few snippets, and I've put pictures on all of my slides just to kind of give you an idea of, and you probably can't see them all here with the Zoom, but just to kind of give you an idea of what our space looks like as I'm talking about it, and some of our clients that we have served in the past. So simple solutions for complicated times. At Arlington Kids Kloset, kids who are in Arlington, Lakewood, and Darrington schools that qualify for free or reduced price lunch, or who have another need, they could be displaced, they could be foster children from another school, sorry, Paul, from another school district. They could have a natural disaster, a fire, an earthquake. We've had hurricane people that have moved up here. All of those people we serve. What do they get when they come to Kids Kloset? Well, first of all, they enter to a facility, it's old Arlington High School, that's been transformed into what we call a storefront. Everything, it looks like you would be walking into Target. Everything is organized by size, by gender, by color. Everything is freshly laundered. Things that aren't new are freshly laundered. It's just a really happy space. It's very bright. Arlington Rotary is the one who painted our space there. The Arts Council put a beautiful mural up on one whole entire wall of our site. So it's just a really happy place to be. It smells good. That's one thing people say. Does it smell like we're walking into Goodwill? No, it smells good when they come in. And the main thing is that no item has a price tag. Everything is free of charge for kids who come there. Students can come twice a year. They can come fall, winter. So we operate from late August through early January for our fall, winter season. And then we transition over to spring, and then they come again March through May, or till the end of school is out again for the spring season. How do they qualify, or how do they find us?
Most of our families now are repeat families. They've been coming for a few years. They've heard about us from their neighbors in their little circle of people. We have a lot of referrals that come from counselors and from nurses. And kudos to Arlington, Eric. I'm glad you're here because I believe Arlington has a brand new position called a support services specialist. And I've just met both of them. They toured our site this morning. And I'm so excited because they are a little bit more, I think, boots on the ground, getting kids resources that they need, where a lot of times nurses and counselors, they just really aren't sure if a student needs that, because no longer is that free or reduced price lunch just published for anybody to see. So a teacher, a staff member really has to go out on a limb to offer the services. But these new positions that Eric is, we have in the schools are going to be able to get more kids into us. Speaking about more kids, or how many kids do we serve? So each year we distribute between 900 to 1,100 wardrobes. So we do it by wardrobes because in the spring, a lot of our students are repeating. And so instead of just saying we've served, 500 kids, well, really, we've served them twice. And so that number varies every year. But this last year, even during COVID, we were at 986 kids, our wardrobes last year. This saves an average Kids Kloset family between $500 to $1,200 each season. So if you think of an average family of 2 to 4 kids, we have some families definitely that have more than that. They're getting, what do they get when they come to Kids Kloset? They get 5 pair of pants, they get 5 tops, they get a new coat, they get a coat, they get a sweatshirt, they get new shoes, 5 pair of new socks, 5 pair of new underwear. They get a hygiene pack, which is shampoo, soap, toothbrush, and toothpaste. And then if they're a teen girl, they get lots of accessories, from undergarments to belts or jewelry or hats, whatever we happen to have on hand. Used shoes. We get a lot of shoes in that are in really great condition that we clean them up and we put them out as help yourself. So that is essentially a week's worth of clothing for a child or for a student, is what they get when they come there. So why is Kids Kloset so important to the community? Well, the effects of wrong clothing can be devastating for students. If you can remember back to when you were in high school or middle school or even elementary school, everybody has a different story. But I know for myself personally and for my spouse that there were definitely times when I didn't have the right clothes. My clothes were all homemade and I thought that was awesome, but I didn't have the cool 80s cargo pants that everybody else had, and I know John has mentioned that, certain shoes that kids had that he didn't have, sort of thing. So if you remember back to that, what the effects of not fitting in, because by what you're wearing, what that does to you. And students who are uncomfortable at school, we feel like this can attribute to them to be disconnected from their peers due to their appearance and struggle academically. And we want to eliminate those non-academic barriers. And so Kids Kloset meets a fundamental need in clothing kids and making sure that they have hygiene products, that they can go to school clean and have clothes. Now, we may not have the very latest fashions, but I do say that I would put what we have in our store up against any retail store in our area as far as selection, trendy clothes. And if you think about it, if you have girls, just think about if you have girls, that either leggings are in style or tights are in style or jeans, high waist, low waist, big leg, small leg. We are continuously culling our supply or our inventory, looking at these low rise skinny jeans. Girls aren't going to wear that anymore. That was style 3 years ago. So we get rid of that. We pass that along. So we try to keep what we have, what kids really want to take. Our goal is that every child has the opportunity to be healthy, happy, and confident in their appearance. And I'll tell you just a quick little story about a Target cashier. So we buy a lot of, we buy all of our socks and all of our underwear and of course shoes as well and hygiene products. And we shop at a variety of different places all over. We get some donations for something, but I happened to be in Target one day. And usually when a cashier sees me coming, they're like, oh, I don't want her because I've got 2 big carts that are overflowing with underwear and socks in them. So that was me this day with this cashier. And so I'm getting them all organized and going through. And it was a gentleman and he said, who are you buying for? What is, you don't have this many kids. That's what I always get. You don't have this many kids. And I said, well, no, I'm buying for Arlington Kids Kloset. And have you heard of us? He's like, oh my gosh, I am so happy that you guys are still there. I used your services when I was in high school and it was like the best thing. And I didn't even know that you guys were still around. So we had this whole conversation and it just really warmed my heart to know that here was a person that had used our services in the past that had a great experience, which we want everyone to have a great experience and remembered that. And I think that that is far reaching for students. All right, let's move along and talk about funding. Because that's very important for a nonprofit organization is funding. And so I've put up here a few little icons of people that have granted money. We operate predominantly off of, we do solely off of grant money and community donations. These definitely not everyone that has supported us in the past, but this is for the last year and a half. These are the people that have granted money. 100% of all community donations go to program services. We have very little overhead. We have a site manager, which is new for us. We were volunteer operated for the first 13 years. We've only had a site manager that's a paid position for the last 3 years. Sorry, Paul. Okay. So now I lost my train of thought here. So low overhead, we have a site manager, and then we have insurance for our not our building, but our area in the building. We're located, by the way, at the old Arlington High School. I'm going to talk about that in just a second. But those are our 2 big expenses, and we grant write specifically for capacity for those. So it's very, I think it's energizing to be able to tell someone that if you write a check for $100 is going to buy hygiene products, socks, or underwear or shoes. It's going straight back to the kids. And we value that at Arlington Kids Kloset. We're extremely frugal with our purchasing. We, for example, right now we're buying shorts and short sleeve shirts. If we look at our inventory, what we're going to have for spring, and we know that, okay, and little boys size 4 through 10, we hardly have any shorts. So we know we need that for spring. So we're scouring websites and stores, for $1, $2, $3 pair of shorts, and we'll stock up on those so that we can really stretch our dollars, what we really want to do. And so we're buying hats and gloves or coats in the spring and summer. And that's when we do purchase. Now I say we buy this. I like to have a little variety so that if a kid comes in to shop and in his size 4, I don't want there to just be 10 pair of pants hanging there for that little boy to look for, and he's going to take 5. I want like 40 pair of pants there for him to look for. So if we don't have donations that keep up with that demand, and I keep talking about little boy pants, because if you have little boys, you know that getting good donations, little boys pants particularly, is kind of difficult. So we're always looking for that. We do have partnerships with some of the retailers in the area that gives us big discounts. And one of our biggest partnerships is with the consignment shop in Marysville, who lets me shop half price there. And I feel like we're a blessing for each other, because when I come in and spend, sure, perfect question. I'm not doing bad.
So you go with the consignment shops over in Marysville. What about taking clothes? I got a daughter that has lots of clothes that she's getting rid of. You take clothes from there?
Perfect, Paul. Perfect segue. So yes, we operate predominantly on donations. So we do buy new socks, new shoes, new underwear, and hygiene. But predominantly, all of our clothing that you see in pictures here on our website are donated items. We sort those items. We launder the ones that we're going to keep, and then we fill in the holes where we need to. from there, which is mainly little boy pants is where we need to fill in the holes. No pun intended. And then going forward, two of our biggest needs that we see going forward, we have been very frugal with our money. We have managed to save, and I'll just say this because we're very transparent. We have managed to save $250,000 in a bank account. And a lot of people say, as a nonprofit, you're supposed to spend all your money. Well, we felt as a board that the day was coming when we were going to need to have a new site. Currently, we're in the old Arlington High School building, and thanks to an agreement that I made with Linda Burns 17 years ago, we pay $25 a month for utilities. Very much of the district has given us this space. Basically, Linda believed in what we were doing. That passed down through Chris last year, not last year, but our last superintendent, Chris, and then Chris Sweeting, our new superintendent as well. However, that building is being sold, I believe. Eric, help me out. I have a meeting in 3 weeks about that, but we're in the process and we know that we're going to have to move. We don't know the timeline just yet, but my timeline is summer because we've been told it would be the following year and we don't want to disrupt services. So my timeline is I feel like by summer we need to be making a move. Paul is on Zoom and I've spoke with Paul a little bit. I have a few irons in the fire as far as where can we move. But the bottom line is it's going to be costly. We're used to paying $25, site manager, insurance, and telephone. That's it. And we know that if we have to move, well, number one, there's moving expenses, is, even if we have a lot of help, but where are we going to be and what is that going to cost us? And we're going to need to find someone out there that's willing to, maybe let us pay a little bit below fair market value and give the rest of that as a donation to Kids Kloset. I don't know how that's going to work. I'm just having faith that it's going to work out somehow.
How big is the space you have now and what do you think you need?
So we have about, that's a great question. I think that we operate on about 4,000 square feet. We have four classrooms, large classrooms at the old Arlington High School, plus a few other spaces around that building that we utilize. Ultimately, I'd like a space 7,000 to 10,000 square feet. I talked to Paul about that and he said, that's a lot. I said, if we're going to move, we want to go big. We want to go big. We want to expand. We want to expand to Stanwood. We want to expand to Granite Falls. So if we're going to make that, or when we make that move, we don't want to limit ourselves by moving into a space that would be smaller than what we have now for sure. And then, hold on, let me see where I am. Okay. The other thing, part of that is that I really would like to start a thrift store, Arlington Thrift, very much like the Stilley Senior Center has, where the community has a place to go buy affordable clothing for their families. And we don't currently have this in Old Town Arlington. You've got to go out to Smoky Point, and some people say, well, what about going to Value Village or Goodwill? I'm a Goodwill shopper. You cannot find a pair of jeans for a teenager under $15. Our families can't afford that. We need an affordable place for families to be able to find, to either supplement what they're getting from resources in the community or for the parents, because we don't serve parents as well. So going back to Paul's question about donations. So we take all these donations in. We thrive. That's how we operate, on donations. But we only keep about 40 to 50% of all of those donations. For example, my clothes, teen girls don't want to wear my clothes. And you know what? When you're donating, you don't want to separate, okay, this little pile is going to go to Kids Kloset and this little pile is going to go to Goodwill, or this little pile is going to go here. You want to give it to one place. Perfect. We want to take it. Okay. But we give away a lot of stuff. We have started what we call our bargain corner in our hallway, just right outside our door in the hallway. And we put a lot of our better ladies or even men stuff that we know teenagers won't take. And we leave it out there as either make a donation or help yourself or just take it if you need it. And so I really do think that when we're talking about moving into a space, a bigger space, a building, that I want to incorporate both of that, because I believe strongly that that type of operation can support the capacity at Kids Kloset. So anyway, that's where we are on that. All right, 77,500. Wow. Rotary That's what you've given Kids Closet in the last 15 years. Aren't you so proud of yourself? I am so proud of you and so thankful for you. What does that equate to? $77,500. That's a lot of money. That equates to 3,690 pair of shoes and a lot of users. And you say, how did you get that number? Well, this past year, our average price of shoes was just shy of $21. And you're like, okay, I have teenagers. I know you can't buy shoes for $21. We're very frugal. We have good partnerships with some of the stores out of the outlet, some of the retailers here. We get an additional percentage off a lot of our purchases. We work really hard to find quality shoes, Under Armour, Adidas. We try to buy athletic shoes predominantly. Some, especially teen girl, will buy some more trendy type shoes, but we try to buy athletic type shoes for kids, especially going to school, that will last for them. So yeah, we're very prudent with our money, and that's where that money, and I don't know if you can see both of the kids up there, but there's smiles on their face. I want to tell you one little story before I wrap up with volunteers. One little story, I call it my Nike story. So we buy a good bit of shoes at Nike. They give us an additional discount. Nike also donates to us anything that's returned to Nike, they cannot resell. So a lot of things are brand new. So they also donate things to us. We get all sorts of things, from cleats to a basketball, whatever they found in their store, they send on over to us. So I had a little boy, and it happened to be my night that I was lead volunteer. And he had, when you come shop at Kids Closet, you have a big shopping bag and you take your list and you go find your items and you bring them back and put them on your bag. And he had this cool pair of, unfortunately, Oregon color basketball shoes on his bag. But anyway, they're green and yellow shoes on there. And I was helping somebody else, and he came up to me and he looked very much like this little boy right here holding these shoes. And they were a pair of black and orange cleats. They were Nike cleats. And he says, "Excuse me." I said, "Well, yeah, buddy." He's like, "This was on that shelf that said help yourself. Can I get these?" I'm like, "Sure, you can get these." He said, "But I already have a pair of basketball shoes." I said, "That's fine." I said, "These are help yourself. You can take one of these. If that's your size, take these cleats. That's great." And he broke up in the biggest smile. And he said, "I have never, ever owned Nike shoes. And now I'm leaving here with 2 pair of Nike shoes." Well, I mean, dissolve me in a puddle, because by then I'm like, tearing up, like, oh my gosh, my kids would have no clue about not ever having a pair of Nike shoes. And here this little boy that was probably 10 or 11 years old was so thrilled to be leaving with 2 pair of Nike shoes. One was a pair of cleats. But anyway, really great story. And it really fills our heart and makes us want to serve at Kids Closet. And speaking of serving, building a strong community with great people. That's why we've been there for 16 years, is because of great people. Because remember, I told you for 13 years, we've been 100% volunteer operated. That's a lot of kids that have come through with just volunteers operating, sorting donations and laundering them and getting them out and serving kids, et cetera, et cetera. And so here you have a few pictures. I'm sorry that Dale Duskin's not here today because his mom is up there. Ruth, she was a great volunteer, and you'll see we have all ages from my kids started volunteering at a very, very, very early age. We take Boy Scout groups. I've had a Boy Scout group that's been there since they were kindergartners, and they're now 5th graders. They come every year and they pack hygiene packs for us. So lots of variety in what you can do to serve. We have lots of groups in the community. We have some church groups that come every single year at the same time and serve for us. We have one-time volunteers. We just have somebody that says, "Hey, I would like to come and check you guys out." And they come once. It's not for them, and that's fine. One thing about volunteering at Kids Closet, you don't have to come every week. We love it if you do come every week, but we're just happy for whatever time you can give. We have volunteers that come every week. We have some that come once a month. We have some that come twice a year. We have some that just show up when it works in their schedule. And that's great with us. Great with us. If we're open and you can come volunteer, come on down. And a community involved. So here's just a few pictures of some things that have gone on in the last few years with community organizations. Lakewood schools did a big book drive for us. That's that top picture up there, because I don't think I mentioned earlier, but every kid does get a book. And so we were always looking for books. In fact, we were completely out of high school books as of like this week. And someone knew the librarian in Arlington High School, and Arlington High School just went through their circulation and culled a huge amount of books from their circulation, and they sent them all to us. I mean, when I tell you, it's like 4 of those big black Costco totes full of high school books. So we're high schoolers are set for a while. So yeah, Lakewood did a book drive. Kiwanis does the coats. They send us coats every year. In November, we get about 500 new coats from Kiwanis. There's some teachers in the bottom left corner who did a sock drive at their elementary school. You see Pioneer over on the far side. This was a couple years ago before COVID. They did Socktober. And so kids brought in socks during the month of October and donated them. The picture that you can't see is hygiene products, is toothbrushes. Another young lady took it upon herself in her organization. I think she was a high schooler, and she collected toothbrushes and brought those in for us. So lots of different ways that to get involved. And then wrapping up here, I have no idea what time it is or what I'm doing on time. I didn't bring a clock, but most people want to know, how can I give? And a few ways that you can do that. Jenny Jones, she just didn't know I was going to be here today, but maybe she was bringing it to John, brought in a whole bag of new coats that she picked up for us, because coats right now are one of our biggest needs until we get our shipment in from Kiwanis. So you can pick up some coats when you're at Costco, or socks, or underwear, or toothbrushes. If you have a business that sells anything like that, you can, donate those sort of things. You could also just simply write a check, which a lot of people like to do. There's a member of this, a couple members actually of Rotary, who for many years has sent auto pay every single month. I get a check from their auto pay. There's other members of this organization who's donated stock, and every year I can count that they're going to donate some stock to us as well. So many different ways to give. Right on our website, which is brand new. We have a brand new website as of this summer. And if you picked up a brochure or a business card on the way in, it's the wrong website. We now have a .org. We have a Google Workspace. And so we have a .org, and you can donate via PayPal right there. And QR code will take you right to our website, which I'd love for you to take out. There's some cheesy videos of me on there showing you around the space and how to volunteer, but it gives you a better idea about what our space looks like. And then there's also Venmo is a new way that you can, and that's Arlington-Kids-Closet. And I think I covered everything that I sort of kind of wanted to say. So thank you so much for inviting me back here. I'd love to answer any questions. I'd love to have anybody that wants to volunteer. I'd love to have your donations or your kids' donations. Where can you donate? That's probably a question I should answer. We have a donation bin right outside our site, and we're located at the old Arlington High School. There's a sign up front that leads you around the sidewalk. That's the hardest way to donate, because you got to carry your stuff. Easiest way to donate is Arlington Cleaners, right? But right on 5th and West by the laundromat, we have a donation bin right inside their door. You can pull it right to their door and drop it in. Second easiest spot is Allstate, which is right over by Hagen's. They also have a bin of ours right inside their door, and you can drop off there as well. So you can always, I say too, bring it to John's office. He's really good about taking stuff and bringing it home too. So thank you so much. Anybody have any questions?
Anybody on Zoom have questions? Yeah,
I have one. Hi. Thank you so much, Kimberly. I mean, it was really, it brought back a lot of memories for me growing up in India and hand-me-downs and all that. And never thought like it was a big deal, right? Like, because that's the way community was like. So we always like had somebody's clothes or shoes, or we didn't have backpacks at that time. It was actually aluminum boxes, which were actually school bags, which got handed down like for 30 years, I think. I think the one that I carried was 30-year-old from my cousin who passed it on or whatever. So what I loved is like, I actually looked at your website because I wanted to know if it was a 501c3. So one opportunity that would be awesome. Like, I mean, if you would like it, I can actually organize like for Microsoft volunteers to come in and volunteer, because every hour they volunteer, your organization would get $30 per hour.
That would be great. And actually, we actually have a few businesses who do that. Boeing is another one who does that as well. So
Okay.
yes, that would be amazing. And we can always find tasks. I mean, there's some jobs are always the same at Kids Closet, but a lot of times it's just a revolving door. Depends on what's like today. We just I just did a huge shoe purchase for shoes that were sizes that we were out of. And so that's something that will be kind of volunteers will be working on. But yeah, that would be amazing.
Yeah. So I mean, I will connect with you offline because too many ideas are buzzing in my head. And I'll connect because I mean, this month is actually a giving month in Microsoft. So they're encouraging people to donate. But I'm also actually at 2:00, I'm meeting with some people where I would love to showcase your organization as well, because they're looking for some local organizations to support. So
Thank you.
I'll connect you. And that's
Absolutely. I'd be happy to talk with anybody or talk with you more as well. So
yeah,
thank you so
awesome.
much.
Thank you so much for doing what you're doing.
I had a question, Kimberly. First of all, thank you so much for being here. It's always a privilege to be around people who are genuinely making our community better. So thank you. And also, you know, I think everybody in this room is fortunate in that we can provide our kids with whatever they need. You know, Cameron got soccer cleats last week that were $350 and they might last 4 months. So it's just humbling to be reminded that not everybody can do that. But my question is, as you're looking for a new site, are you looking for something that's walkable for families that don't drive or kids that don't have, or is that not something that you've found to be necessary with your current site?
You know, I think we would ultimately love to stay in Old Town because we love our location there. And I'm going to just be really honest, selfishly, because it's like 5 minutes from my house and I spend a lot of time there, or I go down there just at a drop of a hat because somebody needs something or whatever. So Old Town would be desirable for us. Plus, I feel like that we really connect to all the schools in Arlington, especially because they know where we are and we're centrally located. We will get a call from any given day, like Presidents the other day, their nurse called and said, you know, could we have some underwear? We have kids who are coming to school that need to be able to change their underwear, or we have young girls who start their period and aren't prepared for it. And so I'm like, yeah, and just hop down there and bring them that. But they know we're right here. We'd love to stay close to the bus line. We have a bus line very close. We do have people that ride the bus to see us, but we are also very open because honestly, we don't want to have to close because we don't have a space. I am worried about, because especially as you know now, leases and rents are so incredibly crazy. We're not opposed to maybe owning a building and being able to make payments on that, but it just have to be the right space and there's a lot of stuff that I guess goes around and to unpack around that. But I don't think walkability, because we have people that come from Darrington. You know, we have a third of our population that we service from Darrington that drives in, and then we have Lakewood schools who are also driving in as well. Thank you guys so much.